Might be able to catch up.
Uh-oh.
The tag team!
Switch!
That's enough. Go. That's enough.
I don't give a just slice one.
Yay, the wall!
Sasha, how are we looking?
What?
Get it on the plate! No, I'm not plating yet.
On their mission to become America's next MasterChef.
I am shocked that you made this. It's kind of incredible.
Thank you, Chef. Showstopper.
Thank you, Chef.
You're cooking like a pro and shining like a star. Well done.
MasterChef returns after the FIFA World Cup. Don't miss it.
The champion of the Global Gauntlet. Congratulations goes to...
MasterChef returns next Wednesday on Fox.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
Well, good evening, everyone. Coming up tonight, we'll have all the day's news, but first, that big bombshell tonight from the campaign trail. Senate candidate Graham Plattner is out of the race. Good evening, everyone. I'm Craig Colson, sitting in tonight for Beth Jones. He announced tonight he is suspending his campaign after he was accused of sexually assaulting a former girlfriend. Plattner has denied the allegations and had refused to drop out until tonight. He released a video making the announcement tonight and claims he was the victim of a ploy to get his name off the ballot. Our Callie Warren now joins us in the studio with the latest on that. Good evening, Callie.
Thanks, Craig. Well, U.S. Senate candidate Graham Plattner made the announcement in a video posted on social media this evening. In that video, Plattner denies those allegations and said tonight, and I quote, "Large forces have been working against him, accusing him of the worst thing that a person can do, and he claims that it's not remotely true." He also says there's no coincidence that the story was released just days before he became the official nominee. That would have been final on July 13th. He adds that he feels that this was all a plot to get him off of the ballot.
We are suspending campaign operations. This is incredibly difficult because I know that some will think it's an admission of guilt, and it most certainly is not. We're not doing it because of the allegations. We're doing it because of the structures that are being taken away from us by those in power.
Well, Plattner says that he will now officially file paperwork to formally withdraw from the race. Meanwhile, Maine's Democratic Party says it wants to hold a special convention to find a replacement for Plattner. During a meeting today, more than 100 state committee members voted to hold a nominating convention in case there's a vacancy to fill. They'll release the details of that convention in the coming days. Craig.
Very much, Callie. Well, meanwhile, Troy Jackson is one of those considering joining that race as a candidate. He's interested in taking over for Plattner. He is among several people who have announced their intentions, or at least their interest, to join that race. Our Grace Blanchard has been following that part of the story and has that for us.
Support for Graham Plattner has dramatically collapsed this week after a woman he previously dated alleged that he sexually assaulted her in 2021. Which Plattner has denied.
I didn't want to find out how unsafe I could get that night.
After the allegation was reported by Politico and CNN, Plattner said he would take the time to reflect on the best path forward. In the wake of the political fallout, more Democrats are expressing interest in claiming his bid for the Senate.
If Graham steps down, I will throw my hat in to be considered to be nominated.
Former Maine Senate President and candidate for governor Troy Jackson has formed an exploratory committee to consider a run for the Senate.
This wasn't something I planned or anything, but I think that I'm the closest, and these are things that I've been fighting for anyways. So I want to make sure that those issues keep being heard in Maine and in Washington.
Dr. Nirav Shah, who lost in the governor's race, says he is still evaluating whether or not he would enter the race.
If I do so, I want to do so with the mindset that I will, in fact, help defeat Susan Collins come the fall. The stakes of this race have never been higher.
Secretary of State Shenna Bellows says she is also seriously considering. Bellows recently came in fourth in the Democratic primary for governor. She also challenged Senator Susan Collins in the 2014 Senate race.
Whoever emerges, I think we will see a unifying support behind them for these values, for the change that is necessary.
The Maine Democratic Party shared an update on Tuesday night, saying that process options are being reviewed by the party's legal counsel. The executive director also claimed that Plattner's team has repeatedly reached out in an attempt to influence the process.
Unfortunately, Graham Plattner's team has repeatedly reached out to us
in an attempt to put their thumb on the scale of what this process looks like. We have repeatedly reiterated to Graham Plattner's team that they have no role in determining our next Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate, nor in determining what this process looks like.
A spokesperson for the Plattner campaign shared a statement with us, saying the campaign has reached out to the party to try and understand what the process would look like, but at no point has the campaign tried to, quote, put its finger on the scale. In studio, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, since that report was filed, we have learned, as we just told you, that Graham Plattner is now out of the race. We've already seen one candidate express interest. Let's go back to Callie Warren with information on who's seeking to be Plattner's replacement in the bid for the U.S. Senate. Callie?
Well, Craig, you hinted at it a little bit earlier. The answer to that is Troy Jackson. He lost his primary bid for governor by a slim margin, but is hoping to get his name back on the ballot. The former state Senate president released a statement just over an hour after Plattner announced his departure from the race. He said, quote, "There is a powerful movement of working class people in the state of Maine and millions more across America who are ready to send a progressive fighter to the Senate. I am in, and we're going to defeat Susan Collins. Maine deserves a senator that will fight for working families," end quote. Now it remains to be seen exactly how this process is going to play out. Craig?
Well, Troy is officially in. I imagine that there might be a few other names floated over the days ahead, especially as the Democrats hold their special convention. And we will certainly keep you up to date on that. Well, Graham Plattner had also lost the financial support of the Democratic Party and other groups before today. As of May 20th, Plattner's campaign had raised more than $16 million since last July. And that's according to the latest data from the Federal Election Commission. Within that time frame, the commission reports he has also spent more than $14 million. On Monday, the Senate Majority PAC announced it is redirecting resources away from the Maine Senate race in light of the latest allegations against Plattner. However, University of Maine political science chair Mark Brewer points out that this could shift depending on who the party selects as a replacement, should Plattner step aside as he did tonight.
If Plattner withdraws and the party comes up with a replacement candidate that, kind of national Democrats view as someone who's going to be competitive, then I strongly suspect that they'll keep their money in place, right? Because Maine is still a good pickup opportunity for them. On the other hand, if the party somehow comes up with a candidate who's viewed as weaker, then maybe they shift some or more than some of their spending to these other races, because there are other places the money can go.
The Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee has also said it will not invest in the Maine Senate race if Plattner remains on the ballot. Perhaps some of that money may be sent to the candidate that replaces him in the future. All right, let's get to other news. The fire marshal's office is investigating a serious fire that happened yesterday in Kingfield. Crews were called to Main Street around 3:40 p.m. for a fire at Carrabassett Veterinary Services. When they arrived, the two-story building was engulfed in flames. Maine Department of Public Safety spokesperson Shannon Moss says all employees and animals inside the building were safely evacuated. At least they were from the vet's office. She says a resident in an upstairs apartment was also able to get out safely, but 2 cats in the apartments died as a result of the fire. Fire crews from neighboring towns also called in to help fight the fire. Moss says the fire marshal's preliminary investigation indicates the fire was first discovered on the exterior rear of the building in the area of the facility's trash storage. According to Moss, a bystander attempted to put out the fire using a portable fire extinguisher and sustained some minor burns in the process. Investigators are continuing to examine the scene to determine the origin and cause of the fire. Excuse me. And the staff at the clinic says they'll set up a temporary clinic and will be getting in touch with customers to reschedule their appointments. All right, a bathroom fan caught fire at an apartment in Herman late this morning. Around 10 a.m., crews were called to an apartment at Kent Court in Herman for a report of a building fire, where they found that the fan in the bathroom had caught fire and was spreading. Officials say the resident of the apartment reported loud thrashing sounds and saw flames coming out of the ceiling. Herman Deputy Fire Chief Michael Simmons says everyone inside made it out without any injuries, and the bathroom, though, did have some significant damage.
We've done some overhaul in the bathroom, made sure there was no fire extension. The bathroom is going to need some renovations.
Resident Olivia Alden was home with her daughter and 2 cats when that fire broke out and immediately ran to a neighbor's house for help, one of which shut off the building's electricity. Alden expressed gratitude to her neighbors for their aid and says their actions made all the difference today.
I'm a little shaken, but I'm glad my neighbors helped, and I'm glad that me and my daughter were, not sleeping. It was the daytime, so we were awake, and it could have been a different, story.
Alden added that she and her family will be looking for a new place to live now. Authorities are investigating a fire on Indian Island that officials say was an act of arson. According to the state fire marshal's office, the fire was reported shortly after 2 a.m. It happened at a building located at 4 Wabanaki Way on Indian Island, just outside of Old Town. Officials say nobody was hurt, but the fire did cause significant damage to the building. The fire marshal's office says the building is owned by the Penobscot Nation, and fire investigators are now working with the Penobscot Nation Police Department and Old Town Public Safety. The fire has been ruled an arson, and anyone with information is asked to contact the Penobscot Nation Police Department or the State Fire Marshal's office. Several people were injured when a vehicle struck a moose in Alton early this morning. Milford Fire and Rescue says it was around 3 o'clock this morning. Their crews responded to Alton to assist with a serious motor vehicle crash. They say arriving units found a vehicle that had left the road with major damage after striking a moose that was in the roadway at the time. And according to their Facebook post, all 3 occupants were trapped in the vehicle and 2 of them had serious injuries. They say they were removed and transported to the hospital where their condition remains unknown tonight. The post says the incident shows the importance of mutual aid network and how it helps provide proper responses to major incidents like that one. A Bangor man has been arrested for allegedly shooting at a woman. Officers were called to a Union Street shelter in Bangor a little before 5:30 last night, where a woman reported that 43-year-old Stanley Swallow had allegedly fired a rifle at her several times during an altercation at his residence on Sanford Street earlier in the day. She told officers she was able to escape being shot, but suffered some minor injuries. Bangor Police spokesperson Katie England says the officers arrested Swallow later last night. He's now charged with a variety of offenses, including elevated aggravated assault, aggravated reckless conduct, and criminal threatening with a dangerous weapon. All right, well, it turned out to be another nice day today, sunny in fact. Let's turn things over to Chase Ropanak now for our first look at our forecast.
Thank you very much. Another warm day across much of the state for today. You can see there was a sea breeze along our coastline, keeping us near 73 in Rockland. 78 still pretty warm in Bar Harbor for today, but Machias at 72. The rest of us in the low to mid 80s out there. 83 here in Bangor. You saw 85 in Millinocket. Same for Clayton Lake, and all the way down to the southwestern portion of state Freiburg at 88 degrees for you. So we're going to keep the heat around throughout tonight. Partly cloudy skies. There will be some increasing clouds with chances for showers further north. Now that front is going to make its way further south for tomorrow afternoon. Not much coverage in these storms out there, but yes, there is a chance near the Bangor region where you can see a pop-up shower or two with some rumbles of thunder as well, but otherwise the threat seems very low for thunderstorms for tomorrow when it comes to area-wide. But as you take a look at overnight tonight, we will have some partly cloudy skies, more clear early on with increasing clouds. For tonight, so we're going to see light winds out there as well, so that'll help lows fall down into the upper 50s for tonight.
A nice, comfortable night ahead. Thank you, Chase. And still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, it has been a little more than a year since the new I-395 connector opened up to vehicles. Coming up, a report on how the new highway has impacted truck traffic in the area. Don't go away.
Escape to Two Rivers Campground in Skowhegan. Enjoy spacious RV and tent sites, full hookups, cozy cabins, and a fully stocked camp store. Unwind with riverfront views, outdoor adventure, and fun for all ages. Book your stay at Two Rivers today.
Keep your boat safe, functional, and beautiful with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company. Your Hammond sales rep can help you choose the perfect lift for your boat. Shoremaster's exclusive Whisper winch offers the industry's smoothest and quietest operation. Add speed and convenience with a Shoremaster lift motor. And Shoremaster's modular Infinity design makes it easy to upgrade with accessories when you're ready. Take your boating experience to the next level with a Shoremaster boat lift from Hammond Lumber Company.
I got hurt by a big truck. Why did I call the twos? Because life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. We got a client who broke multiple bones in a commercial vehicle accident, $700,000. call the twos. We win for you.
Hi, Butch Robichaud from J&J Auto Sellers. Yep, been here 40 years, retiring this year. Turning the reins over to Anthony and the boys. Hope to serve you for another 40 years. The next time you're thinking about saving money on your car, give us a call. We got fenders, doors, motors, transmissions, you name it, whatever it is, we have it. We're down on the Brewer Lake Road. Everything we sell carries a 90-day warranty. And don't forget, best attitude in the business.
Look at this. You got the MLB All-Star Game in Philadelphia. This is how America celebrates a birthday. A night of American celebration, Tuesday at 6:30 Eastern on Fox.
Escape to Two Rivers Campground in Skowhegan. Enjoy spacious RV and tent sites, full hookups, cozy cabins, and a fully stocked camp store. Unwind with riverfront views, outdoor adventure, and fun for all ages. Book your stay at Two Rivers today.
Welcome back, everyone. Maine Attorney General Aaron Fry has announced a $45 million multi-state settlement with Block Incorporated. They're the company behind the popular peer-to-peer payment app Cash App. A statement from the Attorney General says the settlement resolves allegations that Block misled consumers about the safety of Cash App, failed to protect users from fraud, and didn't provide the fraud protection and resolution that are required by law. Fry says, quote, Cash App recklessly prioritized growth of their business over basic consumer protections, often at the expense of customers who were needlessly left open to fraud. This settlement provides compensation to address customer losses and provide relief to ensure customers of Cash App are protected. Since the arrival of the I-395 connector in Brewer, there has been a dramatic decrease in the amount of truck traffic in the area. Sam Miller looked into that.
Over a 7-day period back in Augusta of 2025, Maine DOT conducted a traffic study that found a significant reduction in heavy truck traffic on Route 46 following the opening of the Route 395 connector. In comparison to a similar study conducted in 2023, heavy truck traffic was down by 79%. The same study found heavy truck traffic dropped by 60% on Route 9. The connector, which officially opened in June of last year, links Route 9 directly to Interstate 395, which connects Brewer to Eddington. Andrew Gobeil, the Director of Communications of Maine DOT, says there is a lot more work to do despite the reduction in traffic.
One of the biggest challenges in transportation is changing people's habits. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to tell people, look, we've got this connector. It's a great new structure. It is helping everybody out. It's increasing efficiency, and it's making travel up there more safe.
Gobeil says the DOT studied traffic patterns to ensure people could travel as quickly as possible, and is confident that traffic will continue to decrease for the time being.
We saw that in the first few months after the connector was up and running, traffic dropped dramatically as planned, and we fully expect that it will continue to do so.
In Brewer, Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Great news for the city of Ellsworth. It has received a $74,000 grant to help with a number of environmentally friendly programs. The money is coming from the Maine's Community Action Grant Program, and it will be used to prepare the city for extreme weather, improve access to local food, and help Ellsworth reduce waste that ends up in landfills.
How it could affect the taxpayers here in Ellsworth is that it would reduce our tonnage fees, because if you think about that, that's mostly what the trash is made up of, is food scraps and waste. It would reduce tonnage fees, and it could eventually lower taxes, right? Because that money comes out of the general fund.
The program is funded through Maine's Community Resilience Partnership and the state's Climate Action Plan. One of the first projects will include the launch of a free compost drop-off program at the Ellsworth Transfer Station and to expand the composting program into the high school. The city also plans to enhance emergency shelters during times of extreme weather, and they plan to pick up excess food from local farms and distribute it to local pantries. All right, when we come back, President Trump says Iran should prepare for another night of strikes while keeping the door open for more negotiations. We'll have the latest on that and details on a disturbing new trend on TikTok that has already landed a number of children in the hospital. Don't go away.
Make your outdoor living space dreams come true with a little help from Granville Stone and Hearth. Granville can help you go from this to this. outdoor fireplaces, custom outdoor kitchens, gorgeous stone patios, and more. You bring the dreams, we'll supply the materials to make it all real. Create your stunning outdoor oasis with help from the experts at Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
Lights, camera, cheese! The Cheese House is looking for its next star, and it could be you. If you're 21 or older, enter for your chance to appear in the next commercial. Stop by the Cheese House at 5 Pike Drive in Fairfield to enter. While you're there, browse their huge selection of glassware and 420 specialty foods. But we have the cheese! Remember, entries are happening in person at the Cheese House, 5 Pike Drive in Fairfield. Bring your personality, bring your smile, and we have the cheese.
I was in the Army for over a decade, with 2 deployments to the Middle East. And I have never seen a veteran with a Nazi tattoo. Graham Plattner knew exactly what his tattoo was. Blaming it on military culture is disgusting. I've got tattoos of things I'm proud of. And I guess Plattner did too. Graham Plattner is a liar, a fraud, and an embarrassment. He's unfit to represent Maine. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
A few weeks ago, I went down to the basement to see what was happening with the boilers and opened the door, and there was about 12 to 14 inches of water in our basement. I knew who to call right away, and that was Bouchard. They were here within a half hour. They work well with our insurance company. They're very, very efficient, and all I have to do is call them any time of day. They're going to take care of me. Our business is our life, and that's why I don't hesitate to recommend them to other people.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
President Trump today warned Iran the U.S. was preparing for another night of strikes, just hours after he said the ceasefire was over. He says the strikes are in retaliation for Iranian attacks on commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Trump has threatened to strike Iran's civilian infrastructure, including electric and desalination plants, and will seize its oil infrastructure. The U.S. has already targeted air defense systems, radar, and over 60 small boats used by Iran's Revolutionary Guard. The price of crude oil also spiked by 5% after the president's announcement today. Well, Trump says the ceasefire is over, but negotiations can continue, and he stopped short of promising a return to full-scale action. Fox's Rebecca Castor has the latest from Washington.
I'll tell you what happens next. We're never going to see Iran have a nuclear weapon.
Closing out the NATO summit in Turkey, President Trump says the goal of Operation Epic Fury hasn't changed, but he's now less interested in diplomacy and ready to launch more military strikes against Iran, but says it won't be a return to all-out war.
Anything that happens is going to be over very quickly. We're not looking for long-term.
While there were plenty of other matters to discuss with NATO allies, Iran quickly overshadowed the agenda. Trump came into the summit frustrated with European leaders for withholding their support at the start of the conflict, but it seems they've re-earned his trust.
They just had a bad moment. If there's one word that comes out of today, it's unification. I've never seen anything like it.
Allies warmly welcomed President Trump's leadership that is transforming this alliance and making it stronger.
The president may be feeling the love from NATO, but it's the opposite from Iran. He told reporters several times Wednesday he's Iran's #1 target. And some suspect that's why the new Air Force One left Turkey early, leaving the president to take the old presidential jet to the UK, where he'll switch back to his new plane.
I'm #1 on the kill list, but I don't really care because I'm doing my job.
Iran is now threatening to completely close the Strait of Hormuz and target oil facilities in Gulf nations if the U.S. launches another attack. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Well, as Rebecca reported, President Trump swapped planes from the old Air Force One to the new one after new strikes against Iran wrap up. President Trump flew home from the NATO summit in Turkey on the old baby blue Air Force One plane instead of the new red, white, and blue jet gifted to him by Qatar. The president said he flew on the legacy aircraft, quote, for old time's sake. He then boarded the new Air Force One in the UK to continue back to the U.S. This new aircraft costs $400 million to retrofit. The Qatari gifted jet has also been said to not be equipped with the same type of missile detection and countermeasure systems as the older jets. And that's why he flew the older plane out of Iran, because it was much safer. Well, while President Trump was in Turkey, a federal judge in New York had some bad news for President Trump, ordering him to pay what he owes to E. Jean Carroll after a jury held him liable for sexually abusing and defaming her. Judge Lewis Kaplan ordered Trump to pay the $5 million judgment along with almost $800,000 in interest. A jury held Trump liable for sexually abusing Carroll in a dressing room back in the 1990s and for defaming her when he denied her allegations against him. Trump does deny the allegations and appealed, but the Supreme Court declined to hear his case. The president's attorney says it will try again to appeal, but in the meantime, he has been ordered to pay up. The latest scandal for Graham Plattner could jeopardize his party's bid to retake the Senate control this November. Fox News chief congressional correspondent Chad Pergram looks at some of the other crucial races from Capitol Hill.
Beating Republican Maine Senator Susan Collins may have been the main event for Democrats this fall.
There's a reason that she's been a United States Senator from Maine since God was a baby.
But after Graham Plattner, Democrats worry about other controversies. There's Democratic socialist Abdo El-Sayed running for Senate in Michigan.
You can't retrain ICE. You have to abolish ICE.
El-Sayed doubled down on controversial rhetoric about how to tangle with Republicans, saying, quote, "When they go low, we don't go high. We take them to the mud and choke them out." He also equated radicalism in Iran with MAGA and said people in Dearborn, Michigan are, quote, "sad about the death of Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei." El-Sayed faces veteran Michigan Representative Haley Stevens.
I will run through anyone and anything to lower costs.
To seize the majority, Democrats must maintain Michigan and flip the Tar Heel state, with former Governor Roy Cooper.
I'm going to work as hard as I can to make sure that we win North Carolina.
Former Senator Sherrod Brown is rallying for a comeback in the Buckeye State.
Ohioans don't have anyone fighting for you until November.
And the Democrats' last hope is capturing the last frontier, with former Alaska Congresswoman Mary Peltola.
There's no group of people more ready to save ourselves than Alaskan.
Like Michigan for the Democrats, it's Hold'em in Texas for the GOP. Republican Ken Paxton takes on Democrat James Tallarico. Winning the Longhorn state may be a long shot for Democrats, but it forces Republicans to burn money there when they could spend it in Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio, and even Iowa. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
In other news tonight, it's day 3 of Tyler Robinson's preliminary hearing, and prosecutors present more evidence allegedly linking him to the murder of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. Prosecutors are expected to present a recorded statement from his roommate and romantic partner. Fox's Kevin Ureski with that story.
Utah prosecutors continue presenting evidence during day 3 of Tyler Robinson's preliminary hearing. He's the man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk last year. New surveillance video shows Robinson in a holding room the night he turned himself in. He's wearing a maroon T-shirt again, the same color he was allegedly seen wearing in a surveillance video on campus the day of Kirk's shooting.
After all the interviews were completed, when we talked to everybody, he was formally arrested at that time.
Most of Wednesday's back and forth was over whether or not recorded testimony from Robinson's former roommate and romantic partner, Lance Twiggs, will be presented in court. The judge ruled it will be played out, but with significant redactions.
I'm balancing all these competing rules, the constitutional rights, as well as transparency, and sometimes it is an imperfect balancing act.
For the first time this week, we heard from a lawyer representing Erica Kirk, who argued for the full interview to be presented. It's about 37 minutes long.
The Kirk family believes strongly that if the evidence is being admitted in this preliminary hearing, it should be made public for the world to see. No redactions. To not be open, to not let the world see what happened, will create doubt and distrust in the judicial system. And that's not what anybody wants.
The judge will ultimately decide if there's enough evidence presented during this week-long hearing to proceed to trial. In New York, Kevin Ureski, Fox News.
And still ahead tonight, the U.S. is sending more help to Venezuela following the devastating earthquakes We'll have the details on that, along with a big nursing strike underway in Boston. Don't go away.
Let's go get this big money.
Know the song faster than Shazam and win. Beat Shazam returns July 28th on Fox.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes & More has a team of experts trained in pet orthotics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or for the hard-to-fit foot, with fashionable and functional footwear from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Teva, Taos, Ufus, and Birkenstocks. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
Bikers are known for giving back, helping others in need, helping Mainers get back on their feet. At the law offices of Joe Bornstein, being Maine's motorcycle lawyers is something we wear proudly, fighting and winning for injured bikers since 1974. We know the Maine roads and the Maine laws. That's why injured bikers know to call Joe, because accidents happen to be our specialty. Born to ride? Keep Joe by your side. Maine's motorcycle lawyers.
For the first time ever on live television, the Stonington Lobster Boat Races are coming to ABC7. Fast work boats, big horsepower, and Downey's pride on full display. Watch Maine's lobster fishermen put their boats to the task in one of the state's most exciting summer traditions. Don't miss the live debut of the Stonington Lobster Boat Races. Sunday, July 12th from 11:30 to 2. The Stonington Lobster Boat Races, live on ABC7.
Venezuela receives more aid from the U.S. as recovery continues from twin earthquakes. Today, the Trump administration announced it's contributing more than $380 million for response efforts. Fox News senior correspondent Jonathan Siri has more.
Aid from the U.S. arriving in Venezuela as the search for victims of last month's deadly earthquakes winds down. The State Department says nearly a dozen Americans were killed, but others are still missing. The search has become more difficult as rescuers comb through layers of debris and concrete.
What we saw on the ground from the brave men and women of these American urban search and rescue teams were videos of pulling men and women from the rubble. Real miracles that they were working on the ground there against impossible odds.
American search teams that were deployed to the region are now arriving home as rescue efforts turn to recovery.
The people there were so gracious, and just their resilience in such a time of devastation for their community was incredible to bear witness to.
A disaster response team from the U.S. remains on the ground, helping to deliver food, water, and medical care to hard-hit communities.
Everywhere we go, the Venezuelans will be the forward-facing element.
It comes as the death toll in northern Venezuela tops 3,500. Some of the thousands displaced are now living in camps and facing a long road to rebuild.
We're left with only the clothes on our back and the few things we managed to salvage during the days we were here.
The U.S. Embassy in Venezuela says more than 1 million pounds of relief supplies have already been delivered to the country. In Atlanta, Jonathan Siri, Fox News.
Doctors are warning about a dangerous TikTok trend that has landed several children in the hospital. It involves microwaving Nido or other similar squishy toys, causing the gel to heat up and explode. ABC's Armando Garcia has more on what doctors are warning parents to do, and we want to warn you that some of the images might be disturbing to see.
It's a toy widely popular with children.
Because I have ADHD, so it's easier for me in school. I focus better if I'm doing something with my hands.
And now the subject of a dangerous viral challenge. Doctors and firefighters are warning that children are putting squishy toys like Nido in the microwave to make them more pliable, causing them to explode.
The toy contains this alcohol-based gel. When it explodes, you now have this molten, hot liquid that can then potentially splatter all over their faces, their arms, their legs, and their entire bodies, resulting in serious burn injuries.
In Nassau County, New York, firefighters say 2 young girls ages 4 and 8 were burned last week. And a few months ago, near Chicago,
the right side of his face was kind of melting off, basically.
9-year-old Caleb Chabola sustained serious burns after his Nido cube exploded in the microwave.
I didn't know it was a trend on TikTok before, because my friend did it before, but she put it in for, she didn't get hurt.
Loyola University Medical Center says Caleb is one of at least 4 cases they've seen this year involving Nido cubes. The company that makes Nido telling ABC News in a statement that ensuring the safety of their consumers is fundamental, adding that heating or freezing the toys could cause injury and that they are, quote, disappointed to see that there has been a trend on social media demonstrating misuse of the products. Authorities are also warning that in the summer months, toys left behind in hot cars can also cause burns, and that taking precautions, including speaking to children about these trends, is crucial. The maker of Nido says that they've included a safety warning on their packages and online listings and are partnering with social media companies to remove harmful content. Armando Garcia, ABC News, New York.
Around 4,000 nurses went on strike today in Boston. Nurses at Brigham and Women's Hospital have been negotiating a new contract for months now, but they remain at odds. The Massachusetts Nurses Association says it's the largest nurse and healthcare professional strike in state history. The two sides have failed to reach an agreement on wages, benefits, and working conditions. The state's governor has called on both sides to come to the State House with hopes of reaching a deal that will end that strike in Boston. A new model of ChatGPT will soon be available. Fox Business correspondent Jerry Willis has that story and more in today's Fox Means Business.
Markets finished mixed for your Wednesday. Dow and S&P 500 finished in the red, while the Nasdaq finished the session positive. ChatGPT maker OpenAI is set to release its most advanced artificial intelligence model yet on Thursday. The GPT 5.6 Soul launch comes after the federal government requested a delay due to national security concerns, citing the potential for misuse. OpenAI previously said GPT 5.6 Soul was competitive with Anthropic's Mythos preview in cybersecurity. OpenAI is also releasing 2 lower-cost AI models called Terra and Luna. Chevron says it will now sell a chemical technology it developed to boost oil production to its rivals. The move comes as the U.S. shale oil and gas sector grapples with declining well productivity. Chevron will license its chemical technology to ZL Chemicals, which will oversee the sale to other oil companies. President Trump also recently urged oil companies to increase oil output and help bring down gas prices. Honda Motor America, a unit of Honda Motor Company, is recalling over 325,000 Odyssey vehicles in the U.S. due to issues with the rear view image display. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says water might enter the rear view camera, causing a failure to display an image when the vehicle is in reverse. The recall affects certain 2018 to 2020 model Odyssey vehicles. Owners can have their rear view cameras replaced at a Honda dealer free of charge. That's business. I'm Jerry Willis.
Well, looks like another hot and humid day on the way tomorrow. May even see a thunderstorm rolling through the area. Chase Ropanak will join us with your full 5-day forecast.
We've been feeling the heat so far in this month of July, and it's going to continue into tomorrow and throughout the next few days throughout this week. We were in the 80s for today, but some of those days we're looking to reach 90 here very soon. When exactly will that be? We'll have those answers coming right up.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
Your call is important to us.
You've heard this before, too many times. Tired of being customer 45978? Yeah, we would be too. Speed means fast uploads, no lag, and zero buffering. But it also means calling you back, showing up on time, and treating you like a person, not a problem. So whether you're working, streaming, gaming, or all three, It is time to make the switch to a provider that actually tries. Go NetSpeed. Service isn't dead. It just moved local.
Critical investments are strengthening Maine, thanks to Senator Susan Collins. The biggest investment in our rural hospitals in decades. New investments for working waterfronts, like the breakwater in Eastport. Investments to help homeless veterans find housing. Investments for UMaine to train new doctors and nurses. Thousands of investments, thanks to the power of Senator Susan Collins. Call Senator Collins and ask her to keep delivering for Maine.
Got old metal and junk cars? Turn that clutter into cash at Daddy and Daughters. We make recycling easy, fast, and fair. From Skowhegan to Dover Foxcroft, from Troy to Lee, you can trust our certified scales and friendly service, offering top prices for junk vehicles in Maine. Whether you drop off or we pick up, Daddy and Daughters covers central and eastern Maine. Come see us at one of our 4 locations and watch your scrap pay off. Daddy and Daughters turn scrap into cash.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to eastern and central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
12 celebrities get schooled.
Spell guarantee. G-A. Oh, it's G-U.
Who will be the nation's dumbest? Premieres July 15th on Fox.
Thank you very much. Tonight's weather is brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. All right, as we saw for today, the heat returned with low to mid 80s here in Bangor. You saw more of the mid 80s near Millinocket and the Presque Isle and Clayton Lake for today. Upper 80s in Freiburg, but yes, our coastline a few degrees cooler than everyone else because of that southerly sea breeze out there for today. That kept you near 73 in Rockland, 72 in Machias, but still pretty warm near Bar Harbor at 78 degrees for you out there for today. Now for tonight, some of us further north could be hanging out in the 60s for those lows. We're looking at upper 50s here in Bangor and along your coastline for tonight. Into tomorrow, this is where the heat can really get going. We're looking at upper 80s, not 90s just yet, but some of us can possibly do it. You see down near Portland, they could be reaching near 90 there, and especially those areas in the southwestern portion of the state, they generally warm up much better than the rest of us, so that's where we could see some 90s for tomorrow, but otherwise, mid to upper 70s, most likely some low 80s as you head further north for tomorrow. So the average high this time of year right around 80 degrees. We're looking to be about 8 degrees above that. Now, we will be a bit cooler for Friday and the Saturday, but check out Sunday into Monday. Mid to upper 80s, possibly touching 90 on Monday afternoon, and we'll still have some heat sticking around, still closer to the average though, low to mid 80s for your Tuesday into Wednesday. So the hot temperatures do look to stick around. We will have some slightly cooler days, but then they'll warm right back up into those upper 80s and low 90s. Wind-wise out there, we're going to see a little bit of wind coming in with that front for tomorrow. We'll be hitting up north first, bringing some showers and thunderstorms. Then we have a chance to get into the afternoon. Winds can gust near 20 miles per hour at some times, and maybe a little bit stronger underneath a thunderstorm, but otherwise we're going to be just fine. Into tomorrow, or as you see for tomorrow evening into your Friday morning, winds will lighten up once again, being light and variable by Friday 6 a.m. So here we are looking at tonight, right? We're going to have some pretty clear skies out there early on. As we see throughout the night, there's going to be a chance for some showers and thunderstorms further north. Here we are tomorrow right around 2 o'clock. This is where we see a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms. They'll be isolated in nature, so not everyone is going to get a storm, right? But you can see some of this if you are underneath one. There could be some heavy downpours, some gusty winds, of course, but it won't last too long. They'll continue to move off down to the south. As we get into your Friday, though, here's Thursday night and the Friday. Another round of showers and thunderstorms passing through the northern tier of the state. Again, as this kind of makes its way into the afternoon, there is another chance for a few more isolated showers and thunderstorms before we head into the weekend. So for tonight, we got lows in those upper 50s, all of us staying dry, except for the northern tier of the state. You could wake up to some early morning showers and thunderstorms. As we head into tomorrow, we'll have some better chances here in Bangor during the late afternoon hours. Again, those storms do look to be isolated, so not everyone is going to get a storm, but yes, there is that chance for some of us to get that out there. Highs will reach the upper 80s. We'll see winds from the west right around 5 to 10 miles per hour. So taking a look at your extended forecast, we will see slightly cooler temperatures into your Friday and Saturday. There is still a chance for thunderstorms Friday. They'll be isolated in nature just like we'll see for tomorrow, but much more dry into the weekend. Low 80s Saturday, mid to upper 80s for your Sunday, and then warm it up near 90 to start off the work week on Monday.
All right, thank you, Chase. When we come back, Max will have all the latest from the Maine Amateur, along with all the day's sports news. Don't go away.
People ask me all the time, does Lowry & Associates really get all of those clients, all of those big settlements? Yes, we do. And you know what else is true? I really am standing on top of this big truck.
We can go into a room and have absolutely nothing in there, nothing on the windows, no color, no character, no tone to a room.
That's, I think, where we're strongest, is being able to help someone envision what's going to go in that window.
And we leave, it's totally transformed into something that the customer wants it to be. We've often been told we make a room look better just by leaving it.
Craving something delicious? Welcome to High Street Market, located at 167 Enfield Road in Lincoln. Breakfast options? Grab a cup of coffee and try one of our sandwiches or burritos. When breakfast is over, we're just getting started. Pizza, subs, burgers, and pastries. Come get lost in Danny's Beer Cave. Order online and save 10% off your first order. High Street Market, where your taste buds go to party.
I was born in a small town.
I am back. I'm here to help. I don't know what to do. We're going to rebuild this thing. We're cooking with love.
ABC 7 and Fox 22's Jack Webb named Maine's Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association. Welcome back in, folks. Day 2 of the Maine Amateur Championship went down on Wednesday at Sanford Country Club as 132 golfers fight to make the cut. Hole 18 we go. It's Michael Bruce of Presque Isle Country Club with his approach shot, and he sticks it right near the pin. Now he putts for birdie, and you'll see right here, he's going to sink it. Bruce made a charge on day 2, but will unfortunately miss the cut. We stay on 18 as Jake LaPlume out of Dune Grass, approaching the green. He fires a shot, and it hits the pin. He would go ahead and 2-putt that for a par. Same group now, Scott Nevers of Valhalla for birdie, and he drains it. Nevers will play on Thursday as he has made the cut. We go to 7, and it's leader Michael Madden who sticks his approach shot, and he's got a great look for birdie to add to his lead. But before we get to that putt, it's current back-to-back champion Eli Spalding of Brunswick Country Club, and he shows off his short game with this great chip, and he buries that putt for par. Madden now looking for birdie. It's no good, and he's even got meat on the bone for par. But the 2026 Cheverus High School grad buries it, and he'd finish the day at 6 under. To the par 3, hole 8, Tom Caron of Bangor Muni has his hat off, and he's looking for par. He steps up, and he drains it. Now our Jack Webb was at Sanford Country Club where the action all took place. Take a look.
It's moving day here at Sanford Country Club. Round 2 of the Maine Amateur Championship was on Wednesday as they cut it down from 132 golfers to 50 golfers, including ties. But that's not the story. The story isn't down there. It's at the top of the leaderboard as Cheverus graduate of just a couple months ago, Michael Madden, has a multi-stroke lead, and he says he's taking his best swings of the season right now.
Hitting the ball great, probably best ball striking I've had in a long, long time. Putting was just a little bit shaky here and there, but that's all right. You know, still got plenty of golf left, so I'm hoping some of those putts go in tomorrow. So, yeah.
Now, the most impressive part from Madden might not even be his game. It's his mindset. He said he's not even focused on tomorrow, not even focused on the result of tomorrow. He just wants to take it shot by shot and focus on playing his best golf.
Tomorrow, I'm just going to focus on exactly what I'm doing, focusing on my process, my routine, and focusing on my target. I'm not going to try and think about being in the lead or, you know, trying to win. I'm just going to try and stay as in the moment as possible. But it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be hard tomorrow, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. Yeah.
Now, even with that mindset, he said he will still take a step back and recognize where he is. In the lead at the Maine Am at such a young age, and he said he's going to soak in every moment of that.
It's been awesome, to be honest. It's just been a ton of fun. You know, I love playing well, obviously, and this game, you know, I'm a little frustrated with a few holes right now, but I just have to remind, like, this is pretty awesome to be in this situation at the moment, so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because, you know, golf can get hard sometimes, so, yeah.
We will have coverage of that final round for you on Thursday. For now, I'm Jack Webb, Fox 22, ABC 7 Sports.
All right, Jack, thank you for that. All right, Celtics fans, most of them that I know anyway, are still up in arms about this Jaylen Brown trade, but getting Paul George can definitely provide the Celtics with some value. For starters, Paul George is already a lock for the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. He's a 9-time All-Star, a 6-time member of the All-NBA team, and he may be 36 years old now, but last season with the 76ers, he averaged 17 points and 4 assists per game and shot nearly 40% from the three-point line. If you can keep that up, the Celtics will certainly benefit from this trade. Brad Stevens spoke on Monday about how excited he is to bring in the future Hall of Famer.
We're not very far removed from all sitting in our series against Philadelphia and watching Paul be a guy that could carry you for portions of a quarter. He's excited to come to Boston. He actually already came in this weekend, and we're excited to get a chance to work with him.
All right, it was weird not having a World Cup game played on Wednesday, but we'll return to action on Thursday as the quarterfinal round is set to get underway. Let's go ahead and take a look at what those matchups are going to be. On July 9th in Boston on Thursday, it will be France versus Morocco. And then it will be on the 10th, the following day, Friday, Spain versus Belgium. That should be a good matchup. Norway and England will face off on Saturday in Miami. And then finally, Argentina versus Switzerland in Kansas City. That's going to be a great matchup. Both those teams won in stunning fashion. All right, that's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
We're lucky to live in Maine. We have a wealth of natural resources, hardworking people, and time for the things that matter. Mechanical Services is all about Maine, with energy efficiency that protects our environment and helps businesses grow. Preventive maintenance and energy solutions that save money. How Maine is that? Mechanical Services. We're everywhere you are in Maine.
Hi, I'm Tony with TC Hafford Basement Systems. All things basementy. Is your foundation shifting, settling, or cracking? Don't wait till it's too late. We offer the most reliable solutions to lift and stabilize your sinking foundation. With our advanced piering techniques, we'll ensure your home is back on solid ground. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
When outdoors, some people like it hot and some people like it cold. However, when indoors, most people like it comfortably warm. Consider a Rinnai direct vent wall furnace from McCusick Petroleum Company to provide you with comfortable and efficient heat. They also offer sales and service on many brands of furnaces, boilers, and water heaters. McCusick Petroleum Company delivers oil and LP gas to homes and businesses throughout the Pequot region. If you'd like more information on pricing or service, call or stop by our office in Dover Foxcroft.
The right dock should fit your shoreline and make life on the water easier, more rewarding, and more fun. When you choose Shoremaster from Hammond Lumber Company, you get all that, along with unmatched strength, versatility, and style. Shoremaster's tool-free Infinity Track system makes adding accessories a breeze. Hammond also offers Polydock floating docks, perfect for deep or fluctuating waters. Transform your waterfront into your personal paradise with a Shoremaster Infinity Dock system or floating Polydock system from Hammond Lumber Company.
It's a big, big deal. Summer is a big deal at Toyota.
It's the final days of Toyota's Big, Big Deal Summer Event, where you could get 5.99 financing on a fuel-sipping Corolla sedan with a modern and refined interior, plus 2 years no-cost maintenance. Summer's a big, big deal at Toyota, the longest-lasting brand with the best resale value. So see your New England Toyota dealer.
It's a big, big deal.
Toyota, let's go places.
Half-off deals are waiting for you at foxbangor.com. Click on half-off deals and see how much you can save only at foxbangor.com.
Well, it's time to talk top honors in TV as the 2026 Emmy Awards nominations were announced today from Los Angeles. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has a recap.
They're the shows which made us laugh, cry, and keep talking all year, and we'll celebrate them all at the 78th Emmy Awards. The outstanding nominees were announced from Los Angeles Wednesday. Outstanding drama series contender The Pit leads the way with 25 nominations for its second season.
What did you think you were doing?
Joining Dr. Robbie and team in this category are The Diplomat, The Gilded Age, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, Paradise, Pluribus, Slow Horses, and Your Friends and Neighbors.
I won't question your business if you don't question mine.
Individual drama nods went to The Gilded Age's Carrie Coon, Chase Infinity of The Testaments, The Diplomat's Carrie Russell, Ray Seahorn for Pluribus, and Euphoria's Zendaya for lead actress. Plus, Sterling K. Brown from Paradise, Gary Oldman of Slow Horses, Task's Mark Ruffalo, The Diplomat's Rufus Sewell, and Noah Wiley for The Pit.
You are going to be remembered for comedy.
Leading in outstanding comedy for its goodbye season, Hacks goes into the show with 24 nominations. The rest of the group includes Abbott Elementary, The Bear, Margot's Got Money Troubles, Nobody Wants This, Only Murders in the Building, Shrinking, and Widow's Bay.
New Year, same old Abbott.
Earning their own comedy kudos in lead actress and actor, Abbott Elementary's Quinta Brunson, Iowa Debris of The Bear, Margot's Got Money Trouble star Elle Fanning, Lisa Kudrow for The Comeback, and Jean Smart of Hacks. Plus, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II for Wonder Man, Steve Carell of Rooster, Matthew Reese for Widow's Bay, Jason Segel of Shrinking, and Martin Short for Only Murders in the Building.
I'm so sorry.
Over in limited or anthology series, standouts going for the gold are All Her Fault, The Beast in Me, Beef, DTF St. Louis, and Love Story John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. The Emmy Awards air on NBC September 14th, hosted by Mariska Hargitay. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
It's officially whale watching season in Maine. A Maine fisherman got an up-close look when he spotted a whale breaching right off the coast near Searsport. Jake Hall says he was striper fishing when he saw the humpback whale in Penobscot Bay. The whale surfaced offshore and then spent a couple of minutes feeding nearby. What a sight to behold. Hall told the Bangor Daily News that it was his first sighting of the season so far. Maine is now entering the prime season for whale watching all along the coast. So if you're heading to the coast in the next month or so, you may want to keep your eyes open. You may be able to witness a sight like that for yourself. Boy, something he'll never forget. Well, Maine lobstermen have kicked off a challenge with a big goal. They hope to protect 1 billion lobster eggs through industry's V-notching practice, the industry's practice. V-notching, of course, is one of Maine's signature conservation measures. When lobstermen catch an egg-bearing female lobster, they cut a small V-shaped notch in the tail before returning the lobster to the ocean. The notch protects lobsters from being harvested so she can continue to reproduce. Lobstermen and student harvesters around the state can join the team competition to help protect the future of the fishery. They report their totals of V-notched females each week, and members of the public can support their favorite team for a chance to win free lobster for a year. That sounds pretty good. The contest runs until September 25th, and you can go to www.billioneggchallenge.org to enter and learn more about that. Again, that is, let me back it up because I already went past it, www.billioneggchallenge.org. All right, that'll do it for this hour. If you're just joining us right now, the big story tonight, Senate candidate Graham Plattner dropping out of the race. We are going to continue broadcasting on ABC 7 for the next half hour. You can turn over there to hear more about the Plattner situation. But if you're going to bed, you probably should because you need your rest, just like me. We hope you have a good night. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC 7, right now for ABC 7 News at 11.
How many times has some...
Control is everything to me.
I'm Tiffany Haddish. I am guest host of the Emmy-nominated Jimmy Kimmel Live. I'd love to congratulate the entire staff, but I don't know any of their names.
Plus, Will Rel-Howery and Shamik Moore. New Kimmel tonight on ABC. Haddish guest hosts a new Jimmy Kimmel Live with Lil Rel Howery and Shamik Moore tonight on ABC.
This is ABC 7 News at 11.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for